All right.
Hello, welcome back to the Cube Boys. The Cube
You
Boys.
put a little twang in it.
I had to enunciate better.
Okay. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
And we are.
I'm Jeremy,
My name is Akeem.
and we are discussing George M. Johnson's book, All Boys Aren't Blue. This is chapter 15.
Losing my virginity.
Losing the virginity. Not once, but twice.
No.
So, as the chapter title explains, this is George discussing their journey through sexual exploration. This time on their own terms.
Mm-hmm.
And detailing some of the vulnerable experiences they went through in college.
Mm.
So, how do you, or a lot
This was the interesting chapter.
yeah,
because I was writing down questions like, do I want to answer that?
I mean, I'm okay.
Let me rein it back.
Sharing, but it's like,
I'm glad that George was very vulnerable, and I appreciate it. I'm not ready yet.
I mean, and that's okay.
I ain't ready yet.
That is fine.
Let me fix my hair. Oh.
Yeah. But it's like, how do we envision the sex that we have outside of our heterosexual context in this world? Because that's what a lot of that back and forth is of, oh my gosh, I am a gay, queer, non-heterosexual person.
I think George mentioned this earlier on in the book, which was like a very good point. It was just like, y'all talking about stuff that ain't got nothing to do with me. And on top of that, like, this chapter really does go into, I think it goes into enough detail to talk about like their experience, but at the same time, like, the main theme was like, I was figuring this out by myself along the way as it was going. I don't know. Like, it's so interesting because, I mean, I really personally would prefer if we lived in a world where it was all talked about, right? Like, if we're going to talk about the things, let's talk about all of them. If you're going to expose children to, like, sex education. But it's like, if that's something that's not interesting to someone, like, I want to show you this picture. But it's funny because it's like, if that is not what I'm attracted to, I'm just not attracted to it. You know what I mean? It's almost like, let's just say it's a type of food. And it's funny that I say that because I remember this example from a sermon. The pastor was like, when you get married, it's like picking your favorite cuisine or whatever. He's like, if you like Chinese food, you gotta like it cold, you gotta like it hot, you gotta like it on the side, so it's just like, in my mind, it's just like, if that's something you don't like, you're not gonna be interested. But at the same time, it'll be nice to expose everybody to it and everybody know what's going on. But it's just like, yeah, I can definitely identify with it. Yeah, I mean, but it's like, I can identify with that aspect. But I mean, because on top of that, it's like, my thing that I'm thinking of is like, you really can't, I'm not going to say you can't ask children, but it's like, then you're going to be singling children out. You know what I mean? Because there's this full assumption that everybody's straight. And this is how you have straight sex.
I mean, one, whether that's been the conditioning that we've been taught, that just has never been true.
Right. I mean, but
two,
they believe, don't show the kids the gay stuff because they're going to become gay.
I mean, yeah, but again, the logic then ends when you say, well, there are gay people that have been looking at straight stuff since they got here and they are still gay. Or,
it's just like, I'm trying to figure out, as George mentioned, how do I make this connection of what I've already seen, what I've been exposed to what I need to be doing.
I mean, and that's a difficult question to ask of how do you implement, especially with kids and their interest in sex. Is a thing where it's like, okay, for all those that are curious, we can put you out the classroom for like a
again,
week.
It's just like, but it's just like,
but they'll get exposed to
curious,
it anyway.
Yeah, who was curious about the sex? In general.
I mean, we
Y'all,
are.
I mean, we are, but it's like if we're gonna talk about it, let's talk about it all in a manner that is
Where it's
really
different levels to it.
Yeah,
you can
it's
introduce
just
sex to elementary school kids that is on a different level than middle school. And
right. But that's what I'm saying. Like once you get to, I mean, might as well say middle school, but definitely high school. And once you get to high schools, and some people really haven't had that experience, but it's just like middle school. Okay, let's start talking about it. Like everybody's talking about it. Oh yeah,
the body started changing.
I've heard the things like from my niece and nephew, and they're in
my elementary school. People are already getting it on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, kids have sex.
And the only thing that I don't know if I already told y'all this story, but I was found in the bathroom with a little boy, but I wasn't doing it. I was just like, "Oh, you cute." I don't even know what else I did. Like, I don't think it was anything sexual on my mind because I wasn't exposed to it. My father was the type of person where, yes, he was overprotected, but even it was stuff like we knew about, and me and my sister, speaking of my partner in crime, me and my sister snuck to watch the Players Club. My father saw and was like, "Oh, this is not for my kids, not for my Christian kids." Yeah, we snuck to watch the Players Club, and I'm pretty sure that did something for my sister as it did for me. You know, as I think George mentioned during their experience, it was like they always envision themselves as the female in certain situations. I wouldn't say that, but I just saw the sensuality, the sexuality. I was like, I want to be her. Like, not the abuse, sans the abuse. Absolutely. But like the desirability to look that good, and it was just like, you're that girl. Like before I knew what that girl was, you are that girl. You're like, you are what the people want. And it was just like, that was just everything to me. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely understand why my father, like in hindsight, like, oh, this is not for children. Like of a certain age, this is not for children.
But it's, I guess I don't know where that line is drawn when the child is already curious about it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
When you begin to suppress, that only causes shame, and they gonna do what? They gonna sneak.
We snuck.
And then you don't know what's going on.
But then also, there was other scenes in other movies. Like I don't know the movie, y'all know the movie, but whatever that movie is that they were like, now you talking about something that I got my life off of, that I should not be in my life off of. I don't know what. I don't. There's a word, there's a name that's coming to mind, but I can't think of it. I'm thinking of like Ferris Bueller, but it might not be that. Either way, it was a movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. and he's like, "Show me the money," and they were in the locker room. Oh, baby, those Bob. You don't know that movie? It's okay.
You know me.
Oh,
we're still in the middle of Jackie's Bag.
We're adding that. When I tell you, I just want to go to that scene because when I tell you that scene as a child, I'm pretty sure that scene solidified if that was before or after
the Genuine video.
Yeah, the genuine. But that scene, I mean, I got to see the things. I was rewinding and playing, rewinding and playing. I mean, you ever seen that Taraji P. Henson? She's like, it's too short, honey. Like, I'll show you that too. Honey, I had to play it over and over. I was like, up late. Okay, if I ain't never been up late before. Up late.
It's like, I want to see, and I ain't never seen nothing like this. It feels different.
Okay. It made me feel like the feels, all of them. But yes.
As they do. Mm-hmm. You want to start with some questions?
Questions. So I remember, I think this is where George, when I was talking about George had the idea of like what they envision themselves during sex. And it was like, I was a female, and I think they envision themselves as Dominique. I think that's what they said. I was going to ask, like, have you ever had an alter ego? Because I think, okay, I don't think I ever had an alter ego either.
I mean, I've had, when I was younger, I would be like, oh, I probably would do better in this role. But then I had to like, oh, what role do I actually like? It feels good to me rather than what I think I'm supposed to enjoy from what I've looked into regarding sex. So,
yeah, that was like my first question.
Well, George talks about, I guess, the difference between romance and sex, and there being some sexual experiences they went through, and maybe not as many adjoining romantic experiences. And I'm like, how do you balance the difference between romance and sex when or if you have engaged in one or the other or both? What makes the difference for you?
I always think of romance as like the first thing I was gonna say was like intentional. I'm not saying sex can't be intentional, but it's like it's almost like a wine and dine you type thing. Like it's
intimate.
It's very intimate. It's more than just sex. It's like I'm into you, but I also might have like some music on.
Mm-hmm.
I might also, and this may be
atmosphere.
Yeah, the atmosphere. It may or may not be their sex playlist or whatever. You know, the lights may be a certain way. And kind of getting you in this mood of like, I want you. I mean, I can touch you and feel you, and we can do this foreplay type thing. But it's just like I'm into you. Mm-hmm. Versus sex is like, let's wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Let's go. Let's get to like these people on the apps. Let's get into it.
Let's going to say
smack a dab dab and let's keep it rolling.
The difference for me is like romance is the feeling, while sex is the action, and it's like both of those together create
fireworks. It is just like
this is where people start describing it as making love in a sense where sometimes making love doesn't have to necessarily mean a long-term connection.
Yeah, we've had those discussions recently. And tune into what we will soon be working on, our Patreon, whenever it comes up, for my extra special stories about my romantic sexual experiences.
Yeah, because your boy's celibate.
George also mentioned this. So George was talking about what they saw on TV and what they knew. It was just kind of like, and outside of like pornography, it was just like, what do I know this to be or what it can be? So I was going to ask, what was the first love story you've seen between men on TV or in a movie that you can remember or recall? And I'm personally thinking about this because I think I know, and then I think of something else, and I think I know again. And I'm like,
love story?
I guess a love story.
There aren't really many between men.
Mm-hmm. Dang, I just thought something else. I'm like, when I say deeper, unpacking.
I'm like and this isn't necessarily like long time ago, but maybe Noah's Ark was maybe the first intentional one that I looked at. I didn't look at Brokeback Mountain or anything like that, but maybe Noah's Ark from me just kind of like quick thinking on my feet. But most of the experiences I've had seeing queer or gay or lesbian on TV have been between women or feminine presenting people. They find with girl on girl action.
Oh yeah, the girl on girl action is just
that's fine.
But it's also like an eroticism for the people that are empowered.
Well, one is like, seeing a woman do that is, like you said, it's attractive. But seeing two guys do that, which I've heard in my real life.
But that's why I said it's for the people that are in charge, because I have met some straight women that's their go-to. They might not talk about it in public a lot, but I'm gonna say this person's name. I know she was just like into that. But that was like my first take of like, oh, you like that, and then come to find out there's some other, and there may be an audience out there that could tell us like, yes, I'm a straight woman, and I love looking at man on man action. I don't know what it does for them, but
that's not like a regular thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, especially I watch a lot of cartoons. No, I just like cartoons. I've not watched a lot of cartoons, but I like them. Most of the queer or gay people in cartoons are women. Like, for instance, one of my favorite cartoon series is Steven Universe. That's just a bunch of lesbians, and I mean, they gay, but they gay rocks, and they're gay. You know, lesbian presenting rocks rather than gay male, and it's like that's fine, but as in, there's that discrepancy, I suppose.
Yeah.
But what about you? What are your...
So the thing that I thought about, like, as I was really digging in my mind, like, ooh, was it this? Was it this?
And are you meaning specific, like, oh, these
movie,
are two,
TV, or
like consenting,
consenting adults,
and not like they just picking fun at gay people.
No. So the first thing, well, not the first thing, but the thing that I could think back, like, as far as I could go back into my memory, was Holiday Heart.
Oh, true.
So Holiday Heart,
and I did watch that.
Okay. So Holiday Heart, there was like it was love, but then it was like tumultuous, and then also what's her name? Wanda tried to throw it in Holiday face, but it was like, was it Fletcher? What was his name?
I don't know what that was.
Oh, I forgot the love interest name, but Holiday was like, he loved me. And it was just like, also, what did Holiday was like?
Ving Rhames? I want to say.
Yeah.
He's still alive?
Yeah. I want to see, like, the name of the love interest. Either way, Holiday was going in on Wanda, like, because Wanda tried to throw it in Holiday face, especially when she was getting dogged or starting to get dogged and all that. And Holiday was like, you don't know love like I know love. You will be lucky. You know what I mean? You will be lucky to find someone to love you the way that my person loved me, whether they're on this earth or not anymore. I can hold that.
My man.
Yeah, like, honey, before my man, that was peak my man for me. So for me, that was the first time that I was like, oh, it's possible. I mean, I don't know if I got to be that old to get to that point in my life. I mean, I've seen a myriad of examples now, younger. But it's just like, to see that person that in love, and also that hurt when thinking about loss. It's like, oh, this was love. And this is the love that I've always seen in the heterosexual, like, no matter what, old, young, or whatever, especially when they lose somebody on TV, film, whatever. It was like, oh, this is possible. And Lord, I want it. Like, I want that. Like, I want that where it's just like, I mean, granted, I don't know. I don't want to go into like I'm lost without them, but it's just like I love you. So you can't tell me nothing about it. You can't shake my faith about the love this person has for me. So yeah, I think that was the first time. And then, of course, growing up, stuff like Will and Grace, and of course, like you just said, Noah's Ark, beautiful. Like, I was just, when I tell you I felt seen, I don't know if I was sneaking watch that too. Noah's Ark, I was just like, clench his pearls. These, I mean, young, black, queer men, and then Fisher. Also Fisher. Well, I said Fletcher. Fisher, yeah. Fisher loved me. I knew it was an F something in that child. It was a hard F. I don't know if there's such thing as a soft F, but yes, Fisher loved me. But yeah, I just thought that was beautiful. Because it was just, again, it was the what can I say? It was definitely more than anything like the proclamation of I was loved, true love.
And I truly felt it.
And you cannot deny that I love this person, they love me.
I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. I know what's
right.
True.
I mean, but like baby girl said, I'm gonna go to war for it. Like Holiday was ready to go to war for it. And it was just like, and then even outside of that, like seeing Holiday do drag, I thought was just like a different aspect, because again, Holiday was a larger man, but then
tall and big.
at different times of the day, depending on when you see Holiday Heart. Holiday is in a dress.
But that's the thing of it not having to be a role of like you look this way, so you got to act this way. You can be soft
and
as a big person,
right? And I think
and you can be hard as a
I think that's what I like the most about that movie, that film, because it kind of, for me in that moment, it shattered a whole lot of roles, because it also was like up until that point, like you said, was this like were they making a joke of it or something? So all the time, most of the time, it's like, oh, this is a joke. You're the punchline, and then it's like, if I didn't see like that, even with Noah's Ark, when Wade was getting to know Noah, like Wade was describing his type, and Wade was just saying, I wouldn't want no big and strong buff guy. I want to, and again, nothing wrong with that, because that's their preference. But to see Vin Rames in that role as and I mean, I don't know how to describe myself, but I'm like, I could be that, I could be this, and I could be me. I don't know nothing about that lifestyle.
I'm not being this or that. I'm being me.
Right, and so, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
and that's what Holiday did.
That for me was just like, I can be soft. I have this soft side of me.
And once again, you'll attract. That is what will attract the ones that will truly love you.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to put you in a box to be this or that. Yeah. Talking about losing virginity twice. I don't know if we've talked about it before, but do you want to talk about your first time?
Ain't nothing like the first time.
I'll start.
I really didn't want to talk about it.
Okay, I'll share mine. My first time, it was with someone off the apps, because that's how I came across doing the things. And I was in my late teens, and it was white guy, and I was the bottom, and it was okay. We were supposed to flip. He wasn't prepared, and not that I knew all the ways to be prepared then, but I was good. He wasn't prepared, and we had to do a little cleanup, and I left right after that, because I was like, okay,
what a time to be had.
What a time to be had. And much like in a lot of the later chapters, 15 and 16 specifically, a lot of that comes from, and this is getting into another point that I have for, I guess, for this chapter too, but just the risk of ignorance, and how, because we don't have a lot of tools or resources to information about sexual health, a lot of us go into it with ignorance, because, and that's risky, because it can be dangerous, it can be harmful to our bodies, to our emotional states, and so on and so forth.
Those emotions.
Yeah.
Just emotions. I guess I can talk my mind a little bit.
You do not have to. I just was sharing mine.
Because to talk about mine is also, I guess I'll say, like, I relate to the whole book and the whole chapter, because I feel like I lost my virginity twice. But
as a gay,
my thing was, it was definitely with one of the pretty boys that was straight passing, and we were cool, but he would also like pick on me all the time,
of
and
course.
Like, but baby,
of course he did.
But baby,
because what do they say about the ones that pick me up?
But baby, like, I mean, it was fun. It was exploring, and it was crazy, because like nobody ever suspected.
Of course not.
I don't even think I told my sister. Maybe I did, but
him to do all that.
Yeah, like to be that person, and prep. Who knew about preparing for anything? Child, we were just out there, doing stuff.
All kind of nasty things.
All the nasty. Oh my gosh, yeah. But yeah, I think I took cues from pornography and straight porn, and I think by the time I probably have like seen some gay porn or whatever, it was like, how do you search this stuff, and then how do you clear the search history in the web?
Well, you learn after you get caught,
honey.
I got.
So, it was with somebody that was definitely unsuspecting. I had a good time. I hope they had a good time because I know I did. But that's all.
Well, my other virginity story of where I'm saying lose virginity twice is my first time topping was with this very dark chocolate man who was fine. I'm like, but I was like, oh, I can do this. Actually, I like this a lot better.
That
because he challenged me at first.
Challenged me
because I was like new to it, just like George was. Like, I don't know what I've never done this before. And he got on the phone while we were still kind of like maneuvering. And I was like, "Oh, you trying to play me?" So that kind of helped bring me some confidence. It's like, oh, there is a gentleness there, but you can also, like Tina say, in Proud Mary, be a little rough, a little. Again, you want to stay safe.
Love pop culture references. But she was like, because again, the topping phase or the topping experience, it was like we're gonna get some say because you ain't never tasted before, baby. Oh, it's a whole new world. Like, is. Oh my god!
I felt like I was like, oh, this.
I mean, this is something that your hand can't do.
Sexual way for me because it's different for everybody. Some people prefer bottling more. Some people exclusively prefer topping. You know, some people like both. Mm-hmm. However, you know, when you find what you like, then you can kind of maneuver in a way to communicate your sexual needs and preferences better with whomever you're choosing to do those deeds with.
Yeah.
Yum.
I was just going to ask, do you remember your first boy-on-boy kiss?
Yeah. No. No.
No.
Well, I think I was younger and it was with this random guy, my brother's dad's friend's son or something like that.
That was a roller coaster.
Yeah, but we also did a lot of, because he was older than me. So he was just like, hey, you want to do these things? And I was like,
sure, why not?
Oh, I'm a little curious. I don't know what I'm doing, and this is weird, but okay. What about you?
Mine was with that same person.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was one of the experiences.
Good times.
So, and they had very big luscious lips, just like mine.
And lips are definitely a plus and a turn on.
Yeah.
Because I can't. I'm sorry for those of y'all that weren't blessed in the genetic lottery, but here we go. If your lips look like this, I'm not going to feel that we're going to hold up. It's going to be lips on skin. Do you know your corn preferences?
I don't think I really have one. I think as of late, I guess because I am so into like vulnerability and people being soft, which is so funny. We were talking about Ben Rains. Whenever there's a star or a performer who has a history of being a top and they finally bottom, oh my god! Because what I think about, and this is my theory. Whenever we talk about the things now, my theory is, I just feel like in order to properly top, you need to bottom.
You gotta.
That's just my.
I mean, I agree. And I've talked about this with so many other gays of just like you understanding the body.
Yeah,
on that level.
But it's like it's the body, but it's also the reaction to, because as
that's
George,
what I'm saying, the whole thing.
As George, yes, the whole thing. As George was saying, like insertion, all these things. Mm-hmm. It's like when you understand and you can read somebody's body, you ain't gotta really say. I mean, you ain't gotta communicate much, but it's like you can read their body. Yeah, you can feel it, but it's like
it's one saying thing, like the energy, like, oh, maybe I need to not go in,
and then you just start to readjust yourself based on what they're doing and how they're reacting.
Some people that like to bottom more than others have horror stories. Those of y'all that top or only top, not knowing how to gauge.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've experienced some of those people. And you're like, yeah, you need to go back to your drum board. Like, if this was a class, you're getting an F. You're gonna repeat this semester.
It's not working.
So, yeah, that. I mean,
up.
I don't think that's like a genre per se, but I just enjoy watching those, and it doesn't necessarily matter who it is. Now, whenever I found out, for example, like I just saw all their work as they were topping, and I found out they're a verse. I'm like, oh, even better. You know, I see
There's
some
people
scenes.
that's like, I would like to see you.
Yeah,
here.
There are. I mean, but it's just like, how would you receive it? Versus like you're giving. There's some people that we know that are performers that's all they do. Bang, bang, bang. They top, just like that.
And that's their job. But in their personal life, they may be something else.
I mean, they may, but I'm just saying on camera. But it's just like it's painful. True. I don't watch your stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just don't watch your stuff because I'm just like.
They don't even
You're
look,
hurting this person.
and they don't look like
this
they
is abuse
or satisfied. They like you said, it look like it hurt.
Yeah,
this is painful.
So, yeah, I don't think I necessarily. I like looking at everybody. Mainly, black. Sorry if that's not clear. Like I said, Mom.
I mean, I like the rainbow, but I
personally preferably love seeing me because I'm trying to envision me. If I see a lot of other colored skins that is not of my ethnicity, I'm just not gonna be into it. Now again, that's these people's business, you know, because sometimes even with the types of performers, if they are like they go back and forth and it's like they have that audience, I skip past those videos. I do. Or I just won't subscribe. Yeah. I'll see it on X. That's when it's called X. When it's X.
God.
But it's Twitter when I'm socially talking about real issues and other stuff I want to talk about. But it's X when they nasty and tea. Mm-hmm. That's it. What about you?
Okay. Well, I only watch the gays. I don't necessarily dabble in the straight, the heterosexual, and I never really have because I'm like, I'm not into that. I know a lot of gays that are, and they're like, I like it because, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I only watch what I'm interested in.
Oh, yeah. I don't, well, you know.
You said you like a little, and that's fine. That's your
now, I have come across some stuff that look good. Like,
yeah, I have.
Oh.
I have to.
The pegging? That, because again, in my mind, it's almost like I know you are the dominant male, and I know usually you're going to be knocking her wig off. So I think I enjoy when I might try to. I might, yeah. Oh, I'm like with, you know, I know Monique is a big subject right now, but you know, when she sat down on the couch, she said, "Oh, she's taking it." You ever seen that clip? I gotta find it. Okay, that's I'm like, oh, he is taking it. But again, normally, like I said, like his, I don't want to say role, but like heteronormative, like he is knocking her down. And so when she's able to strap up and mount his back, oh my!
Mount is such a weird word for me. When people use it with sex, I be like,
I love it.
It sounds like a breeding ground,
honey.
And I know, and we know what breeding means. But I'm talking about breeding in the livestock.
Woo, Jesus! I mean, and it's crazy because it's also in the Bible because they will mount up. I'm a different type of Christian, y'all. Just know that.
Oh,
wow. Pray for me. I'm still there. But yeah, like, so I mean, when you say that, I would say 80 to 90% of the pornography, probably more so like 95%.
Mine's like or 99.9.
Yeah, I was gonna say 98.
There is a 0.00%.
Well, I don't go out searching for it.
I come across. Yeah,
I would say
if it pop
up, I'm like, cute.
They're having a blast.
Yeah, I think, but that goes back into this idea of like all the people that are just top, and they have this big reveal like, oh, I'm gonna bottom. I'm gonna bottom. So when I see it, this is the thing. I don't even have to know these performers. The man and woman performer, they're just there, and she's pegging him. No matter the size of the peg, I don't even care. That I don't care. Now, granted, the bigger the better, but like they show it. But like if I see her, it could be a little peg like that. If I see her pegging him, I'm like, wow. Like I just be like, whoa. This is content.
Now, one subgenre I don't necessarily get into a lot because
I think we're gonna talk about it. Go ahead.
No, we're not.
No. Oh, we're not gonna talk about that subject.
What subject? Go ahead.
The subgenre you don't get into.
Oh,
we're gonna skip over that. We can skip over that. No. I thought we were on the same page. Let's go right on by it. Because we ain't gotta talk about that.
We knew what that was.
Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about it. Because I don't either. Oh, yeah. We are. I was like, oh, that's not even on my. If I'm lucky enough to get a warning on the timeline and they allude to, skip right on by there.
I was not going.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Whatsoever.
Oh, never mind.
I was gonna say something more commonly because I'm more of a in the box of people that like the normal quote unquote sexual.
Normal? That thing, but I don't know what else you could be. I mean, I don't like nothing painful. I tell you that.
Well, I'm saying
that's
things in the normal bucket that I don't necessarily care for.
Oh, okay. Those
of course, because we are in the normal bucket of what we prefer sexually. Not a lot on the outside fringes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, I agree.
So yeah, basically what he's saying normal. Is,
because I be getting jump scares when they be out in public. Because I'm like,
not into
I'll watch
redecorating or remodeling the space, if that makes sense. Yeah. But what I was more going for was groups. I'm not really big into
groups.
And that's a personal.
I think on visually, I can't even get the words out. Visually and on video, like I feel like everybody, because it was one person. I was like, when they showed the commercial, I said, "Oh, y'all had a call time for this."
Not the commercial.
I said this was shot professionally, like they had cameras and. I said, "Oh, this is real." Those I don't necessarily mind because it seems like everybody know what they're doing.
I guess it'd be so much going on. I'm like, I personally need to
sometimes
focus.
The amateur stuff, if it's not done right, because I mean, I don't mind. You know, I'm like, the more bodies, the better. Hallelujah.
It's too much for me. I'm like, I'm a one person kind of person.
Yeah.
Personally and outside, extracurricularly. I'd be like,
well, you know, to each his own.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has their own thing. Some people are poly. Some people like multiple. And some people are more monotone when it comes to that type of thing. Yeah. But your turn.
So George did mention, excuse me, Black Gay Chat, BGC. Do you have any memories about BGC?
I wasn't necessarily on there because I didn't know how to work it. Because I was curious, but I was like, this seems like this is for the older people. I am not equipped enough
to. Let me tell you. So that
was more in my middle school, high school.
Oh, okay.
Not really.
I'm
a young millennial.
I don't necessarily know about the era where it was used to be what we know as Jacked and Grindr and
sex location.
The newest sniffies today.
But not you.
But Black Gay Chats for me was all about the stories. When I say the creatives, I'm talking about
I'll agree with you.
Had the stories. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, whether people were recounting an experience they had, there were also some people, if y'all can remember and y'all can tell me back this up, there were some people that have basically, I was to say books up there.
I was about to say, it's like
it was like this chapter, and they was like, check out next chapter next week. I'm like, oh my God, glued in. This is more important than the stuff I was learning. And I was like, oh my God.
erotic.
That was
tales.
good. I think I also that was like the first time I got to see quote unquote people. For me, that was like what is that thing called? The Real Housewives of Atlanta, the gay version before it was because people were arguing online and they were going back and forth, but it was like you didn't have this big old thing that you got now, whatever it's called, with the video. Clearly I don't know because I just be watching it.
Oh, you talking about like the whole
the video thing, the video chats, and people be going back and forth,
oh,
or
yeah.
even the voice up. We didn't have all that. We had literally we had that chat, and we had to give us our, and they're going back and forth, and I'm like,
Are you glued?
Yes. When I say going down a rabbit hole, I'm like, oh my god! Like you had to pick a side, and you were talking about it, and that was entertainment. Before there was a Twitter, like
before the internet really exploded.
Yeah, like that was good. That was good. But you said your experience was not like that.
Well, one thing I want to touch on that George touched on in the chapter was transparency in healthcare, and just how they were talking about how they were concerned about sharing with a healthcare professional the types of activities they were doing sexually. Now, for me, I always was like, I don't care about these people. Their job is to help me. I'm gonna tell them exactly what's going on in my life.
At what age were you at like that though?
I was in my I was like late teens, early 20s when I would go and get because test regularly if you're going to be active sexually, and that's just not for young people but for old people too, because there's a lot of y'all old ones that don't go. Anyway, sorry, that was a little projection from my own experiences.
Oh my.
It is what it is. Oh my. But like I said, truth is truth. Not just tell them like, yes, I'm sexually active. Oh, it's been these many partners in these many months or whatever.
So, question with that though, how did your providers look?
It didn't matter what they looked like. If they were white women, white men, black women, black men, all in between. Yes, this is what happened, so I can get the proper care if I need any care, or you can just inform me of what's going on. Because so many pamphlets, STDs, STIs, these things are curable, these things are not, these are treatable, these things are, let me know, inform me, because I need not be at risk of my own ignorance, like I was mentioning before. Because a lot of times with sexual health is the risk of ignorance, because either you don't want the information, you don't have the information, or the information is just not there for you to get, which is basically redundant. So I would always tell them. I never felt any type of shame or any bad thing where I need to hold back. I'm like, I can't. I don't know why it's like that, because I had plenty of shame. Plenty of shame. But I guess when it came to healthcare, I was like, yeah, I need to get tested, because you need to get tested every 3 months or so, or however, often it is. Now, I'm not going to agree with getting tested if you ain't doing nothing, but maybe once a year, just to make sure things are up to par.
Yeah. I mean, but if you know you ain't doing that.
But some things can lie dormant, some things can pop up later. So just keeping up. That's all I'm saying. It's like a wellness check, your yearly check. Check up, a little physical. Make sure all is good, all gears are turning. But what about you?
No, I thought it was a great thing that George pointed out.
A lot of people do experience it.
Yeah, but I think like as far as like the healthcare aspect of it, and when we talk about healthcare in this country, I think it was very important that George pointed out the numbers and how there are some disproportionate communities that are affected. I think I recently saw, on purpose, because I recently saw where some people were talking about, and there were health professionals chiming in, which I love all the time. You look at the research, but they were just saying like there's also a disproportionate amount of course, how many people are affected with like HIV and AIDS versus the people that are on PrEP, but then they were like they're not even offered PrEP. Like this one person came forward and like they were mentioned, they were like, I had to advocate for myself to get on prep, and it was like it was such a challenge. And then other care providers were just chiming in, and they were just talking about, you know, if you're there of color versus not, whatever. But it was like they were talking about how it go for them behind the scenes. That's another thing. There's things that go on beyond the scenes that we don't necessarily see, but it's just like at the same time, it's clearly an issue in this country. Like, and that's just one. I mean, I don't want to just like, I know this chapter is about, you know, sexual freedom, liberation, and learning and all that, but it's like it's so many things. Like this is one important thing, but it's like if that is not taken care of, then it affects other aspects of your life. So I agree. I love that the numbers were shown, and then also it's something for people to be curious about, and I would hope people are going to be curious about and go look up for themselves. But that's another thing, like George mentioned, the lack of going back to the education from the very beginning. We don't know sometimes how to maneuver, how to have these conversations. And like George said, what does the birds and the bees have to do with me and this other same gender person having sex? And we were always taught about the heteronormative aspect, but it was just like, okay, but I like
there are different ways to have sex, and
yeah,
it just takes with us continually to speak up and be to show out and to show who we are. So it's like, oh, these things need to be discussed.
And that's another thing I will say. Like I joke about it, but I be so serious. Like sometimes, you know, I'm frequenting. No. Frequent. I'm using the apps frequently. But I find myself like educating people. Like sometimes I just like say, yeah, I'm that person.
He's a science and chemistry.
But I'm just like, okay, let's talk about it. Because I mean, I will talk about what you had for lunch, what you like to eat, what movie. I'm talking about everything except for sex, and then everybody started going on sex. And I'm like, okay, well, I know, but I'm like, well, let's talk about it, blah, blah. And then people get uncomfortable. It's like,
they sure do.
Why are we getting uncomfortable? And we were just talking about sharing each other's body. And I think that may be another conversation that may need to be had, because I do believe that
y'all can be as open as you want to when we doing the physical, but y'all don't know how to actually verbally communicate about the ins and outs of the ins and outs.
Yeah, and I mean, but that's another thing. Is like, it's one thing to be okay with your healthcare provider, but the people that you meet is just like, okay, talk about the things. Like
talk about with everybody.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. But it's just like
you're choosing to lay with. Also,
and you're frequently seeing the healthcare provider because you're not talking about the things with the people. But yeah,
and also people do lie. But
oh yeah, that is just. I mean, I want to say that's a given, but outside of that, there's also some people that don't know. Like, but then they'd be like, and I mean, I just saw this.
When did you last get tested?
Yeah, I was gonna say now some of these. I want to say like. One of the apps, they let you put up there your testing date, which is very clever. But then, like, if you look at the dates, sometimes like it don't really align. Like that's not recent. Like I've seen something from like 2015. No, I'm like,
like so last time was around 2021.
Do you need a ride? Let me take you. Like,
you know, it's been over 2-3 years.
Yeah, unless you know something that you're not telling us.
I'm like, oh, I haven't done anything since 2015. Oh, okay.
Okay.
You still need to get tested at least once.
So, yeah, I like that aspect. I really did appreciate that because again, it goes into talking about the health disparity. That is a health disparity that is disproportionately affecting one group of people, minorities that
you want to share
are forgotten
statistics
about.
With our viewers?
I was like, tell the people.
It's half of gay black men may
acquire HIV in their lifetime.
Of Latino.
Yeah, so it's just like that is huge.
Let's say very huge.
That is huge,
and a lot.
And it's just like, you know, I would love. I mean, you know, not saying,
but location is a thing because we being in a city experience healthcare in a more open way whereas someone in a rural community or in a smaller town, yeah, you may not have the resources for prep or the healthcare information because they don't get the funding, or maybe the town is very conservative, or and
Yeah,
it's like
I
that's
mean,
unfortunate.
that's what I'm saying. It's so many factors, but at the same time, what we know the numbers to be, it's like that is alarming.
Which leads to the numbers.
And yeah, it's like that is alarming, but it's also like let's talk about it. Like that's why I'm just like, what are we afraid to talk about, huh?
People are afraid because it's something they don't know about. Whether it's the heterosexual people being like, that's why I
was gonna bring up that lady that just lied on that guy and like doxed them. But or they doxed they doxed him. But the thing is, like, even as she made up this whole lie, it was like, oh, my life is ruined, my life is over. And it's just like, well, you don't have to get there, but even if you are diagnosed, your life is not over. Like, there's people that are living longer than, quote unquote, according to them, healthy people that are undiagnosed or not diagnosed, that don't have anything.
Modern medicine is amazing.
And it's just like,
which is why
it's better to know.
Speaking up helps.
Yeah.
Because then you don't have to be in a situation where you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Got a point?
So I thought it was very interesting. I mean, I think we kind of talked about it, but these are like 4 different points that George mentioned. Basically their first bottoming experience, and they were like, "That's my ass," and I put the little melting face emoji. But like after that, it says the worst pain I've ever felt in my life, which I was like, that's your experience,
pain, but it's up there.
That's your experience. Hey,
I've experienced
but
worst pain.
In the same sentence or the following sentence, George mentioned in the few moments that person was gentle. Adjusting.
And he could turn that pain into pleasure, because that's a skill for bottoming, to be able to.
But it was just like after, I think they did try to like accommodate as much as possible. So but then following that, George is like pain for nearly 3 months, bottoming for the first time. 3 weeks, sorry, not 3 months. 3 weeks. And said sex should be pleasurable, and I'm like, 3 weeks is a long time.
But I'm like, George is very thin.
I'm like, I don't know.
And if the dude was big,
3 weeks.
It was his first time. I know. I heard for a while after my first time.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought about it, and I was like, I think I was walking funny, and I was just like,
I know.
Look, I was. I get a pillow. I ain't even want to go use the bathroom, huh? I was just like, this is not.
Is it gonna close?
This is like the stuff just falling out, Jesus.
Like,
yeah.
I feel out of sorts.
Yeah. So I mean, it probably was 3 weeks.
It's a process
I was
for some
like,
people.
ooh. I mean, it was 3 weeks. I'm not gonna say probably. It was George 3 weeks. It is a process. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So I don't know, and I think it's just interesting because a lot of people talk about coming into sex as gay men in general. Sometimes they think that, like, I've heard more than not that bottoming is their role or their position until they find the other side or they discover the other side. So yeah, so it's just like, dang, I got to be in pain. This is it. I don't like it.
Yeah, that was me. That's what I told you when I got the other opportunity.
Yeah, when you see the light from the other side, you're just like, huh. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Because I'm not doing so well with the conversion.
And this is what I want. This is where I want to live at.
The last thing I have is, did you experience a second adolescent phase? George talks about just how a lot of people in the lgbtqt community have to, or not have to, but we experience a second adolescence phase because we aren't offered the same space, freedom, liberty to express ourselves as maybe our heterosexual counterparts do when we're growing up with relationships, with sex. So we usually experience the second adolescence phase when we're already adults. I know I did. Of just being like, oh, okay, this is how these things go. I feel giddy. I'm like, I still feel like I'm still in my adolescent phase when it comes to relationships, romance, sex, and stuff like that.
I mean, it's still
sometimes.
discovering. Was George made it a thing to point out that we need to learn what we like and don't like. And so that's all about this phase because, and I mean, I've said that before. A lot of times people look at homosexual men and they're like, oh, they're so promiscuous, or it depends on your upbringing and whatever. But
Everybody
overall,
likes sex.
everybody likes sex. But I'm saying overall, there's this idea of like, oh, homosexual men are like so promiscuous. They like sex. It's all they do is sex, sex, sex. But at the same time, I do think about that, and I've said that before. It's just like we didn't. I feel as if doing, as George just pointed out, like during those formative years, if we got the opportunity, and it's not just about sex. It's just like being around somebody.
Yes.
Let me go to like I
That's
think
a connection.
Like when I tell you,
unlike
I
before.
think it would have been a different experience if my mom and dad were okay with me going to the movies with another little boy, and that little boy's mom and dad was okay with us going to the movies, watching whatever. I don't care what it was. It could have been Nemo. We're together. We're holding hands. I get an opportunity. You buy me popcorn. I buy you some candy. Whatever, and we're sharing a drink. We didn't get that. For most of us, we do not get that.
And let me tell you,
that
like, tears adults up.
But there's just people that are not
PDA.
That's just, I mean, I don't want to say formed. They're just not. They're not able to like.
Yet.
But I don't want to say that. I just feel like they're just not able to flex that muscle if it's never been it's never been.
Yeah, but it's something blocking that.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I don't want to necessarily say not healed because I feel like, I mean, I guess you could, from your perspective, I guess you could say that. I'm just thinking of like, it was never space and opportunity to do that. So it's like, is this okay? And it's hard to imagine to be like, give me the space and opportunity. I don't know.
Like all that is from shame, it's from fear, it's from that, oh gosh, people are, that, what is the thing that has been going around, that fear of being perceived. People looking at me, and they might say something. Tell my mom.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. I don't know. I guess I don't want to use that term personally, but I'm just thinking like we just haven't been able to we just haven't been given the opportunity. Which again, it sucks because it's just like we're just trying to live. We don't. I guess you could say we don't know no better because if we don't, we just don't. Like it's just something
the risk of ignorance,
we just do not get it and feel it, and we don't get it like everybody else. So it's just like, yes, there has been. Right, there has been a time during my adulthood that I've gone through. And I mean, I still feel like I'm going through, but like I'm learning now because, as you have shared, I mean, I feel like other people told me this, like I love bomb. So it's like now I'm trying to pull back and be stingy with my love because I try not to talk about this lady all the time. But just like be more, careful about who I share my love with, and just kind of search out the scene and just like, oh, we're going to lunch. That's it. This is nothing more, nothing less. Oh, you decided to text me. Oh, that's nice. Hey, how you doing? Good morning. I got 20 other people, if they will. How you doing? Have a great day.
Because we not talk about her. I'll talk about the other one. You got a roster.
I talk about all of them. But yeah, so yeah, I do think there was, and for most of us, there is a second,
a renaissance, if you will.
Yeah, there it go. There is, because that's for the last chapter. But yes, if you will, it definitely is, I would say, a rebirth of who you thought you was. Like, you didn't know this aspect of you. Like, I mean, I know, that's why I said, like, my very the relationship before, they had me growing up like in different aspects, and they were younger than me. So I'm just like, I was definitely not okay with like PDA and holding hand
And I
walking
feel
down
like
the
that's
street.
probably the case for a lot of people because I was younger than the other guy you mentioned. And it's like, again, older people don't know that they can, and that's what generations teach us. You know, we can learn a lot of wisdom from older generations. We can learn a lot about adventure and exploration and some liberation within ourselves from younger generations. Like, oh, it's okay. It is okay. Ain't nothing gonna happen.
Yeah.
And if it do, somebody going to jail or somebody can get blacked out. But I'm not gonna fight. Options. It's a spectrum. All boys aren't blue, and all fathers ain't red. Thank you all for watching again. We really appreciate you clicking on the video and watching. This is chapter 15.
15. Second to last.
Losing My Virginity Twice.
Yeah.
By Jordan Johnson. Book, All Boys Are Not Blue. Georges Aren't Blue. My name is Jeremy.
My name is Akeem, and this is Cube Bois.
Please check out Sweet Heat. Our podcast is on all the streaming services. Look out for episode 3 that should be out soon, if not already.
The links will be in the description.
Check out the socials and please share and comment and like and all things.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.